Yup, I'm at it again. Except this time I'm going to do my best to try and explain exactly what goes on right under our noses. When you're trying to build something, it's all about pieces. The pieces on the inside, the pieces that make things work, and the pieces that tie it all together so that it's aesthetically pleasing, or that people will actually fall into it. And it really doesn't matter if it's a vehicle, if it's a financial system, or it's a system of control that's being instituted for someone else's benefit. Even our own Constitution is a control system. However, it's to control the restrictions of our own freedoms and to control outside influences from taking it over. I totally understand that there are a lot of people out there that think it's a done deal, that think their vote doesn't count and their opinions aren't heard. I get that. And I used to think the same way. But the events of the election of 2016 changed my mind. One of the first things that I did when it was obvious that Donald Trump was a serious candidate for the presidency was research him. Look into the things that he had been saying in the past in television interviews and various shows or what have you. And he has been speaking out against globalist policies for the longest time. He was against NAFTA and GATT, and he said things against the World Trade Organization that all lean towards liberty and the sovereignty and health of this country, and not the other countries of the world. And that's where he came up with the America First philosophy. But the people who had been running the show up until that point hadn't put America first. If anything, it was America last. And they were so arrogant and so confident with the control that they had over our system that they all laughed at him and called him a joke and tried to label the man as a clown. Why? Because he represents a threat to their system. And people tend to ridicule things that threaten their prosperity or their participation in whatever system. Most people don't realize just how close we were and are to losing this country and what it's supposed to stand for. For us, the American people, the everyday schmoes who have to worry about things that the people who run the show don't worry about at all. The people who have to cut their own wood and make things up as they go along. Corporate America doesn't give a crap about those people, or us, as the case may be. They're only concerned with their own power and their own profit margin. And there isn't a damn one of you out there that's going to watch this video that doesn't know that's not true. And some of the things that have happened during the Trump administration, the rollbacks on certain policies, the undoing of this and the building of that, is a threat to their power structure. It's a threat to what they were trying to do. And what were they trying to do? Or more accurately, what are they trying to do and still trying to do to this day? They want to control us in any way they can so that they can protect their power structure, so that they can enable themselves to be able to control the masses instead of us having the right to control ourselves. A lot of these big corporations and media companies have moved their headquarters of operations to China. Do you know what that entails? Well, I'll tell you. In order to operate a business in China, especially a multinational corporation, you have to open up your books to the Chinese government. And as an example, Google, when they moved their base of operations to China, that means that the Chinese government has access and the ability to shape the policies that come out of Google. And that's where a lot of the deplatforming and wrong think philosophy and a lot of the things that we have been witnessing today. And this is where my past and the way I grew up comes into play. Because I grew up around people with something to hide, that were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. And I know how they talk. And when the other side, meaning the left, says that Donald Trump is an existential threat to the U.S. and we stand to lose the whole country should he remain in power, has nothing to do with the country that we think we know. It has to do with what they were trying to build, with the control system that's basically meant to enslave us all. And sure, it might be hard to believe, and it's definitely harder to accept. But as an example, who in their right mind would think that censorship is a benefit to freedom? Who with an IQ higher than their shoe size would think that banning people from political speech benefits our way of life, or doesn't subvert our Constitution and the right to free speech? And anyone who managed to get a passing grade in a freshman history class, or served any time in the military where they used to make it a point to teach you about the Constitution and what you were there for, should understand these things. And as a citizen of this country in particular, feel some type of outrage and be compelled to speak out against it. Because they're trying to set up their own system of laws outside of our Constitution. And that amounts to letting someone come into your house and tell you what kind of furniture you should have, what pictures you are allowed to hang on the wall, and what you should believe in your own house. They're counting on you to be timid. They're counting on your silence, because that's what's allowed them to get this far in the first place. And that's why they thoroughly dislike, I'll even go so far as to hate, the man who has been speaking out against it. Everything that we have witnessed in a slow drip fashion for the past couple of years has been to expose this system to the American public and the world of how all of this works. These are what the pieces tell me. What do you see? Or are you willing to see it all?